Reading a few psalms and a few prayers, and then we'll have some speakers. So please open up the prayer books to page 802. Let's read together in English in the middle of 802. Who may dwell in God's sanctuary? How can we merit a place in his presence? Live with integrity, do what is right, and speak the truth without deceit. Have no slander upon your tongue. Do no evil to others, and do not mistreat your neighbor. Spurn a contemptible person, but honor those who revere the Lord. Never retract a promise once made, though it may do you harm. Lend no money at usurious interest. Accept no bribe against the innocent. Make these deeds your own. Then shall you stand firm forever. Please turn to page 523 for the 23rd Psalm. I'll read this in Hebrew and then we'll read together in English. Adonai ro'i lo achzar, binotesha yarbitzeni, al mei menuchot yanahaleni, nafshi yishovev, yamcheni b'maglei tzedek, leman shemo, gam ki elech begeit salmavet, lo irara ki ata imadi, shiftecha umishantecha hema yinachamuni. Taroch lefanai shulchan neged tzorai, dishanta vashem roshi kosi revaya. Ach tov v'chesed yirdefuni kol yemei chayai, v'shavti b'veit Adonai li'orach yamim. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He gives me repose in green meadows. He leads me beside the still waters to revive my spirit. He guides me on the path, for that is his nature. Though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod comfort me. You prepare a banquet for me in the presence of my foes. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness shall be my portion all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Please turn to page 148. This is the traditional prayer that's chanted when one passes away. First in Hebrew, then in English, at the bottom of 148. El male rachamim shokein ba'amromim hamtzei menucha nechona tachat kanfei hashchina b'malot kadoshim utorim kazor harakia mazirim et nishmat shifra freda bar chesna raizachaya Shalcha leolama, began Eden tehei menukata. Ana balarachamim hastira beseter knafecha leolamim. Utzror bitzroachim et nishmata, Adonai hu nachalata. V'tanuach b'shalom al mishkava. V'nomar amen. Together in English. Exalted, compassionate God, grant perfect peace in your sheltering presence. Among the holy and the pure, you shine with the splendor of the firmament. To the soul of our dear Susie, who has gone to her eternal home. Master of mercy, remember all her deeds in the land of the living. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. The Lord is her portion. May she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. And the Mourner's Kaddish. Please rise. Let's read together in English first on the bottom of 525, and then we'll recite it in Hebrew with the transliteration. Hallowed and enhanced may he be throughout the world of his own creation. May he cause his sovereignty soon to be accepted, during our life and the life of all Israel, and let us say Amen. May he be praised throughout all time, glorified and celebrated, lauded and worshipped, acclaimed and honored, extolled and exalted. May the Holy One be praised beyond all song and psalm, beyond all tributes which mortals can utter, and let us say Amen. Let there be abundant peace from heaven, with life's goodness for us and for all the people Israel, and let us say Amen. He who brings peace to his universe will bring peace to us and to all the people Israel, and let us say Amen. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei rabbah, v'yamar divrah hiruteh, v'yamli malchuteh. Hey dechol beit Yisrael, ha'agalah u'bizman kari v'imru Amen. Yehi shmei rabbah barach ve'olam olmei omar. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipar v'yitruman v'yinaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudsha b'reichu. Ve'lam min kol berchata v'shirata v'shpachata v'nechmata d'amiram v'yama v'imru Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mamav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Please be seated. Bob Rabinoff. Bob Rabinoff will speak to us.
My friend Marie suggested I start off with something a little lighter, so I'm going to tell you why I'm not wearing a tie. As some of you may know, I had a fire in my house a couple of years ago, and I just replaced the few dress shirts that I had and never wore, and my brother-in-law sent me some of his old ties that he doesn't wear anymore, so I cannot wear them. But I thought, okay, this Shabbos, I will put on a shirt and tie in honor of Shabbos. So I put on the shirt, and that went okay. But then when I went to put on the tie, every time I made a loop, so I found out why Orthodox Jewish men typically don't wear ties. So you'll excuse me. It's actually been a long time since I've got up and spoken in front of a group. My existence nowadays is a bit hermit-like, and this is much more difficult than I'm actually used to when I've spoken in the past. When I heard of Susie's death, I thought back. I tried to think back to the last time that I had any interaction with her. It was actually probably 25, somewhere between 25, 30 years ago. So not having, not having had much interaction with her, I can't say all the usual wonderful things about her, which I'm sure are true. So I thought I'd say just a few general things. But when I did hear, and especially considering her age, I thought back to my mother, who was just shy of 54 when she died many years ago. She was a science teacher, which maybe was where I got my inspiration. And when she was told some 3 months before she passed away, she just looked the doctor in the eye and she said, all living things must die. And she just took that knowledge to her end, and that that was what fortified her. We saw her, Katie and I saw her about a week before she died. And she said, you know, passing on doesn't bother me. She said, but when you have children, she said, don't give them any funny Hindu names. Give them good Jewish names. We honored her. We did honor her wish. But there is a reason why all living things must die. And the reason is it's for evolution. It's for our individual evolution, and certainly it's for the evolution of the species and evolution of the planet. The planet is a great system. It's an open system. It's a constantly evolving system.
She agrees.
That's Susie's granddaughter.
Yeah, I gathered. And in order for it to evolve, she must be a creationist. In order for it to evolve, its pieces have to change. And change means, as we know, change means passing away of the old state and coming into being of a new state. But the essence of the system remains the same. And the essence of the system of the universe is infinite, and it's eternal, and it's something that we all partake of. And the beauty of having a human nervous system is that we all get to partake of it consciously. But that change sometimes we feel the change in terms of newness and growth, and sometimes we feel the change more in terms of the passing of the previous state. So today we're feeling it more in terms of the passing of the previous state, which is a pinch to us, but it's probably not as much of a pinch to Susie, actually. When we had the graveside service for Mrs. Eskenazi some few years ago, Rabbi Jacobson came down from Des Moines, and he gave a little talk, and he pointed out that when a child is born, the child is crying and everyone is laughing. It's because we're joyful, because we're seeing the growth of the new. But the child is not happy because the child has been that soul has been in a place of perfection and light, and a place where there's no suffering. And now that soul has come to a place of struggle, a place of, where there is passing and there is loss, and where the soul's going to have to work for a living. As our sages tell us, this lifetime is to work and to earn reward, and then the next life is where we receive the reward. And at a funeral, it's the other way around. All the people are crying because they've lost someone, because the passing away part of change is more predominant. But the soul that's gone on has gone on to its reward and is not unhappy at all. So when he concluded, and we said Kaddish, and then we were filling the grave, and people were laughing and chatting with one another. And Rabbi Jacobson said to me, he says, this is the only funeral that I've ever been at where people are laughing. And I said, Rabbi Jacobson, this is the only community that really believes what you just said. I didn't say that to be funny. I meant exactly that. We have an understanding in this community that, just as it says in Ecclesiastes, the body goes back to the earth from which it was taken, and the soul goes back to God who gave it to us. And the soul, the whole point of our being here is for our soul to cling to God. And if we can do it in this lifetime with this body, so much the better. And if we don't, then we get additional opportunities to continue and evolve and go on. So many years ago, when my mother passed away, I had just actually come back from teacher training.
You have 1 minute of call time remaining.
Okay. Was this on a card or something? And I sort of had that perspective. And now it's 37 years later. And I hope we all have that perspective. In Parshas Shmini, right after the tabernacle is dedicated, Aaron's 2 elder sons, Nadav and Avihu, bring an unauthorized incense offering. And fire comes out from the tabernacle and burns them.
To continue this call with a different card number, enter the new number now. To end this call and add calling time to your card, press 1. Thank you for using AT&T.
Just take it.
It just hung up.
So it doesn't ring.
And in the aftermath, Moses tells his brother Aaron, he said this shows that they were holier than we are. And then it says, and Aaron was silent. And sometimes we find that a young person is taken away, and it's because they've reached a level of holiness that is as far as they could go, and there's no point in hanging around. And in the face of this, in the face of death, in the face of the unknowable, there's really nothing much more that we can do than what Aaron did, and that is just be silent. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Bob. Now, Evan and Ellen Finkelstein will come up.
So I'm going to take this concept of silence that Bob just ended with. And in honor of Susie, I'd like us all to go very deep into that infinite eternal place together for a few minutes.
You can turn to page 722. I'm going to sing a blessing and a song. And I'll tell a little story to explain why I'm going to sing these. How many of you remember Frida Adler? And how many of you remember her singing the priestly blessing, Yivarechecha Adonai? Remember? So that's the first thing I'm going to sing. And the reason I'm going to sing that is because of the story. For those of you who don't know, Frida had lived in Israel in the 40s, and later when she became an initiator, because she still knew Hebrew, Morrissey sent her to Israel to start the movement in Israel. She was the founder of the movement in Israel. And then she came back to the United States, and later in her life, she was here in Fairfield for many years. And later in her life, she started to need a lot of care, and she didn't have any family, and her friends took care of her as long as they could until they just couldn't anymore. She needed 24/7 care. And so they put her in a nursing home, which wasn't that bad, but Frida felt kind of abandoned. And when you would go and visit her, everyone, she would ask them to take her home with her. And of course, everybody would say no, because how could you take on that responsibility? So while David and Susie were living in Antrim in New Hampshire at National, I don't know whether it was just Susie was here for a little while, but she went to visit Frida, and Frida asked her to take her home with her. And Susie said yes. And she brought Frida back to Antrim, and she and David took care of her 24/7. This involved many incidents at night, in the middle of the night. It involved making sure she was never alone. They both had full-time jobs. It involved taking walks with her. It involved making cream and date smoothies so that she would gain weight. It was an amazing thing. It was just a sign of the angelic Susie, that something nobody could have done. And Susie did this. She did this with Sarah Stum. She took her in her last, few weeks of her life, and she often used to help people with their medical needs. She would do medical research, and this was part of the reason why Vedic vibration was just really up her alley. And so when it became even beyond impossible, she finally, through her sister, found a really good nursing home in Boston. And even then, she would travel from New Hampshire to visit her in Boston, and took the responsibility for her for medical decisions and everything, and finally, at the end, arranged for her burial. So I'm sure Frida sang this to Susie many times, and so this is for Susie. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha ken yehi ratzon. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka ken yehi ratzon. Yisad Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom ken yehi ratzon. May the Lord bless you and guard you. May the Lord show you favor and be gracious to you. May the Lord show you kindness and grant you peace. And right after, when this song is sung at the table on Friday night, and right after that is this next song, Shalom Aleichem. And I thought this was appropriate because it's one of the very few mentions of angels in Judaism, and because that's what Susie was, so I thought this was also appropriate for Susie. And please feel free to join in if you know the song. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Malachim l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu ni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We wish you peace, attending angels, angels of the most sublime, the King of kings, the Holy One, praised be he. Come to us in peace, angels of peace, angels of the most sublime, the King of kings, the Holy One, praised be he. Bless us with peace, angels of peace, angels of the most sublime, the King of kings, the Holy One, praised be he. Take your leave in peace, angels of peace, angels of the most sublime, the King of kings, the Holy One, praised be.
I didn't know that Ellen was going to be doing that. And in a completely separate place, I had written something up for Susie. I'll just read that to you now. It's titled For Susie and for Us. There are some souls that are filled with such immense purity, love, divine kindness, wisdom, and compassion that God in heaven cannot bear to part with them for long. God shares them with us for a while, but when the highest angels start clamoring loudly that such a soul has been gone too long, God brings them back. We try to keep them here, but they don't truly belong here. They belong to heaven because they are made of heaven. Even while they were on earth, they were only so faintly, so barely made of earth. Divinity shining from every cell of their body, permeating their mind and filling their heart. Our Susie was such a soul, a most beautiful and most divine soul. Now, such a soul grieves for us remaining here, because she feels our grieving and wants to ease it and fill us with peace. We can help her by being open and by allowing her to fill us with her peace, because her peace comes from the living bliss of God's presence. When we let her bring peace to us, it helps to fill her with great comfort, because her powerful love for us won't allow her to feel completely at peace until we feel at peace. When we feel comforted, she will feel happy and is then free to completely expand into the full glory of her divine existence. Susie would want us to know that she is unbounded, eternal, fully alive and well, and that we can always enjoy and experience her company at the core of our own being. What can we say, Susie? You were a divine person even while on earth, always caring for and doing good, all good to others. Your constant service to Maharshi for so many years has helped to create the foundation for a time when even divine angels like you will feel comfortable living here. You were and are a living saint. We all missed you so very much, but we know that you would tell us, don't worry, God's nature knows best how to organize. So just be at peace and come visit with me and Maharshi whenever you like. We'll always be there for you. We'll always be there for you deep within the bliss of your own being. I just want to say that all of us that knew Susie, knew what a saint she was and is, and how she blessed our community with her love and her compassion. And I pray that Susie gives her mom, her dad, her sisters, her family, and David, her divine husband, that she sheds on them her great bliss and her great peace that she's experiencing, so that they can all feel completely comfortable and share with her in the presence of God, now and forever. Jai Gurudev.
And Judy Booth will speak to us.
This is from the Bhagavad Gita. There never was a time when I was not, nor you, nor these rulers of men, nor will there ever be a time when all of us shall cease to be. As the dweller in this body passes into childhood, youth, and age, so also does he pass into another body. This does not bewilder the wise. Contacts of the senses with their objects give rise to the experience of cold and heat, pleasure and pain. Transient, they come and go. Bear them patiently, O Bharat. that man indeed whom these contacts do not disturb, who is even-minded in pleasure and pain, steadfast, he is fit for immortality, O best of men. The unreal has no being. The real never ceases to be. The final truth about them both has thus been perceived by the seers of ultimate reality. Know that to be indestructible, by which all this is pervaded, none can work the destruction of this immutable being. These bodies are known to have an end. The dweller in the body is eternal, imperishable, infinite. He who understands him to be the slayer, and he who takes him to be the slain, both fail to perceive the truth. He neither slays nor is slain. He is never born, nor does he ever die. Nor once having been does he cease to be. Unborn, eternal, everlasting, ancient. He is not slain when the body is slain. As a man casting off worn-out garments takes other new ones, so the dweller in the body, casting off worn-out bodies, takes others that are new. Weapons cannot cleave him, nor fire burn him. Water cannot wet him, nor wind dry him away. He is uncleavable. He cannot be burned, he cannot be wetted, nor yet can he be dried. He is eternal, all-pervading, stable, immovable, ever the same. He is declared to be unmanifest, unthinkable, unchangeable. Therefore, knowing him as such, you should not grieve. Even if you think of him as constantly taking birth and constantly dying, even then, O mighty armed, you should not grieve like this. Certain indeed is death for the born, and certain is birth for the dead. Therefore, over the inevitable, you should not grieve. Creatures are unmanifest in the beginning, manifest in the middle state, and unmanifest again at the end, O Bharat. What grief is there in this? One sees him as a wonder. Another likewise speaks of him as a wonder. And as a wonder, another hears of him. Yet even on seeing, speaking, and hearing, some do not understand him. He who dwells in the body of everyone is eternal and invulnerable, O Bharat. Therefore, you should not grieve for any creature whatsoever. And then, at the end of this chapter, the final verse describes the person who has attained the ultimate goal of human life, the state of enlightenment, full realization of our divine source. It says, "This is the state of Brahman, O Partha. Having attained it, a man is not deluded. Established in that, even at the last moment, he attains eternal freedom in divine consciousness." That's our Susie. Jai Gurudev.
Now, Sol and Carol Feinblum will speak to us.
Dave. Oh my goodness.
You want to go first?
You people are so beautiful. I think so. First of all, thank you for being with us and letting us be with you. You are radiant people. Your souls shine forth in love and kindness. What else can one ask for in this lifetime? Thank you. We want to honor Susan's children and her grandchildren who are here to send their love to her. Thank you. You're wonderful people. You're very lucky. David, Susie called you night and day. David, where are you? And Dave, you were there. It was difficult for you. But you did it all. You loved, you honored, and you lived with her. Thank you, David. And Cora, thank you for being here. Eliana, niece, whom she loved. When Eliana was a year old, they came to play with her, first Toby and then Susan. And they could almost breathe her. They just adored her. And they. Deborah, oldest sister, big sister, she honors you now, and Neshama honors you for everything you've done. Michael for being here, and Michelle, the planner who arranged this all for us to be here, thank you. And Wendy, her baby sister, whom she loved, and the hands that were held. And the pictures that we see of Toby and Susan of holding hands together. Susan left us on Wednesday in the morning, and David and Sal and I were with her. I was lying on her pillow with her. And she really couldn't communicate in any way that we know, except nonverbally. And even her gestures were limited. But when I leaned over and held her head, I said, we've always loved you and respected you, and we always will, and Sheila. And then I said, you've given so much to so many people and helped them. You've saved people. You've brought them joy and hope. She couldn't move anything else. And then I said, was it Evan? I said, we're all right. We're okay. And we'll be with you soon. Hold your big sister's hand. And Toby came for her. When the rabbi came to visit Tuesday, he sat and meditated with us, with David and Sal and I. And he came out of the room. This man is not given to exaggeration. And he said, there was a huge white light surrounding her. And in that light were these angels flying around. And the most profound thing that gripped me, he said, there is a strong feminine presence in that light. And there's Toby. Reaching for her hand. There's no question. I have something I want to share with Susan, whose neshama I believe is here, and I don't talk as was. I talk as is, because I know she's here. And all of us should be talking to her and saying thank you and we love you, because she hears you. I'm convinced of that because of things that happened when Toby passed. Remarkable things that human beings don't do on this earth. My feeling about our children is that they gave us more than we gave them, and that's not a trite expression, I really mean that. we've learned so much from our children. And we've learned about it in terms of the love and respect that we gave bilaterally. It was not in one direction. If you think that parents require respect from their children, not so. It's the respect that is in two directions. And we teach our children to respect by respecting them. And then it cycles back in this sort of feedback mechanism of love and respect. So, even though it looks dichotomous, it's not. Love and respect, and similarity and difference. To allow your child to be different than you are. Respect them. Because they each have their own neshama, they each have their own drives, they each have their own traits and values and strengths. And for a parent to deny that is to deny the uniqueness of that human being. So our goal, I think, hope, has been to respect them so that they can learn to respect other people, to do tikkun olam, to rescue the world, to improve the world. And I say love and respect. Susan wrote the book. She watered the roots, really watered the roots. When she knew she was sick, she found in the infinite planning ability she had to find a way to come home to us and be with us. And she moved east. She even left these wonderful grandchildren because she knew she had to be with us when she left. She demonstrated by her actions that respect blossoms as love. Her free choices derive from respect and love. Love and respect, counterparts. We usually define respect as an evolutionary value. The child gives respect to the parent, his elders, his teachers, his leaders, not the contrary. But the truth is that the parent respects the child and thus teaches him how to, the why to, and when to of respect and love. It is a holy progression. The cycle of teaching and learning generates more of each other, and the child freely learns and wants to love, and needs to love and respect. Susan, dear, have regard for the other, show regard for all others. She did. All others. It didn't matter who they were. It really didn't. She was just a positive person. She is such a positive person. We are born with the instinct to survive. We're born with it. To give to the self. Baby gives to the self. But the capacity to give to others is taught by the parent and other principles in the child's life. And as the process continues, the parent sees the emerging child apart from him or her. No longer symbiosed, but different than the parent. Sometimes it's a shock to view this growing, like, what's happening here? Why did she go off to learn TM? Where did we fail? This is a different kind of person. You know, like, that's not what we did. Can't be right. This child makes her own choice, perhaps choosing a different derech, or pathway. And so soon the parent realizes that the differences between him and that evolving personality is an expression of the child's ability to be unique, which is in itself a credit to the parent and the environment in which that child is raised. You made that trip east to be with us, Susan, thank you, in this very unique and different way. Who would have thought of it? Who could have loved us so respectfully? Different indeed. I remember I visited her in Lancaster, where she was the director of the facility there. And she said to me, "Why don't you have your pulse read?" And I said, "Oh, I don't need it. She said, "Go and do it." So I went and I had my pulse read. And the Vedic doctor said, go and be with Susan. And I looked at him. It was a very mysterious statement. He says, go and be with Susan. Be with her. And I said, okay. And Susan knocked on the door and said, are you finished? And he said, yes. He said to Susan, be with your mother. And then he looked at me and he said, she works too hard. She's working 14 hours a day, because she was already sick. He knew. She didn't tell us. She wanted to save us that worried. We admire you, Susan. You peacefully plan your work graciously and quietly. You planned every northeast and southwest corner of our house. She sat down and drew me pictures of the house that we should build and where the northeast corner should be and what should be in it and what should be in the south. And I got confused. She sat in the hospital a week before she passed, and her hand was hardly able to hold the paper and the pen. And she drew a picture of the bedroom that she was going back to spend her last days. And she put in every single element in that room and where it should be. And sometimes she would make a mistake and scratch it out and put down the right place. The bed should go here, the dresser there, and then this tray that comes over the bed, it should come from this side. You quietly and almost mysteriously comfort us with your deeds. You have taught us the unbounded love and respect that will guide your children and your grandchildren, who in their difference find love and respect in your eyes. Love you always, Mom.
Susie lived her life driven by the desire to help other people. She got her satisfaction of helping other people, and she lived it with such beauty and clarity that there's very little I could add.
This is Dean Drasnin.
So this is an announcement for what's going to happen in the next day, and we need your help and participation for these. Tomorrow, there's a great kindness that everyone can participate in. For the morning at 7 a.m., we would like to have a minyan at the mainstay, thank you. The mainstay, which is right across from the Sondheim. At 7 a.m., we need at least 10 male members of the congregation. That does not mean that ladies can't come. We encourage everyone to come. But we do need a minyan of 10 in order to do the service and to say Kaddish. And that is a tremendous kindness that we can bestow upon Susie at this point. Very, very important. Following that, at 10:30 sharp, we are going to be doing a graveside service in Ottumwa at the Jewish cemetery, and I think that the directions have been sent to everyone. Does everybody know? If not, then you can ask us and we'll figure out where it is. And then finally, at lunch, for lunch tomorrow, for those who would like to join the family, we're estimating probably around 12 noon. That's probably a good guess when everything will be through and you'll be back. And then we're going to be having lunch at the Raj. And so if you want to join